What would you do if you suddenly realized that time has come to a standstill at a high-speed railway station? University student Wu Di returned home from vacation, dragging his suitcase out of the high-speed railway station, but was shocked by the changes in front of him. Time has come to a standstill, and everyone has stopped in place, leaving him alone to move around. Don't daydream, please look down, the blood like thick red mist has engulfed your ankles. Run away, strange things are about to come. After the red mist, my originally gentle and beautiful sister held scissors and wanted to cut off my leg. The amiable mother forcefully tore open the corners of her mouth just to give him a friendly smile. The introverted father tore up a newspaper for the first time. The earth-shattering changes in cities, with 90% of humanity turning into ghosts, violence and bloodshed happening at all times. As his memory gradually became clearer, Wu Di was horrified to discover that he had traveled back to a novel he had read before his death. Welcome to the Blood Red City. Chapter 1. Blood Red City. You are listening at novel.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 2. The Beginning of Hunting. You are listening at novel.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. Reabsorption capacity. You are listening at novel.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4. Shaoyang. You are listening at novel.audio. After a while, the martial enemy finally regained his composure from surprise, which was unbelievable. The martial enemy once again opened his body to examine. I found that the necrotic spots that had spread to my chest had actually stopped, and there were even some faded marks. And Wu Di clearly felt that after the white line completely entered his body, his field of vision seemed to widen a bit. If he specifically looked, he seemed to be able to see all the fields of vision except for the rear. Did I just absorb the eerie ability of that three-headed creature again? Wu Di took a deep breath of cold air. And is there any mutation? Or is it because of the black-robed man's methods? No matter how much the enemy ponders, they cannot find a solution. Why not think again? Since there is no need to solve the difficulty of chronic death, can we not go to Shaoyang? No, we still have to go. Without the means to steal memories, it is very difficult for martial enemies to survive in this city unless they find many similar ones, but there is no such thing as that. Finding humans may not be difficult, but most of them are just dragging oil. There are too few people who can acquire abilities and adapt to their state in a short period of time. So Wu Di put away his mind and headed towards the community where Shaoyang was located again. In his memory, Shaoyang's family was also very poor, so he was also in a very dilapidated community. In the Blood Red City, only a few dilapidated communities were inhabited by poor people. Along the way, the martial enemy avoided many mysteries and saw many humans begin to clear the streets of the unintelligent mysteries. Of course, the martial enemy chose to hide. Try not to be discovered by them and create conflicts. The martial enemies are well aware that they are not humans, but rather eerie and sinister beings who have completely awakened successfully. They have intelligence similar to that of humans, and are organized, quickly starting to circle the territory in groups and clean up the mindless ghosts. After a period of time, Wu Di arrived at the southeast community, and in his memory, the protagonist Shaoyang should be in this community, and he should still be immersed in pain now. He believed that he had killed his sister, and he suffered for a long time until he went out to search for his brother. In the end, he collided with a high-level demon who came to clean up the community, possessing two eyes with special abilities. One can steal memories, the other can briefly immobilize enemies. It can be said to be super powerful and eerie. Unfortunately, he encountered a hanging, and the moment he touched the protagonist, his flesh and blood began to melt. I vaguely remember Shaoyang tightly hugging him at that time, and both sides screamed in pain at the same time. One flesh and blood dissolved, another body rapidly decayed, and when he saw this scene, his heart was still very nervous. The scene in the southeast community is not very beautiful either, with limbs and broken arms scattered all over the ground. There are also many strange-shaped ghosts lying on the ground, gnawing on human corpses. Wu Di looked up and saw the pure white moon becoming brighter. He felt that the moon at this moment should have been dyed red by the Blood City. Shua. The enemy's right hand has once again changed, using 5 small handmade knives. This is the favorite and most effective attack method that the enemy has been exploring for a short time. Swipe with your right hand, and all the ghosts and monsters in front of you split into pieces. Countless white threads once again appeared and then entered the body of the enemy. As the enemy waited for new abilities to appear, they found that this energy seemed to only slightly enhance their physical fitness and alleviate fatigue. It seems that no new abilities have emerged. The martial enemy lifted his clothes, and the corpse spot remained almost unchanged. It seems it's still not possible. Wu Di shook his head and began searching building by building. Finally, a room with signs of fighting was found on the 6th floor of Building 7. Wu Di lightly walked into the room with a stern expression, staring intently at all corners. The room was blood-stained, with a round table placed in the middle and a plate of cake on top. The cake was already broken, with hard pillars on top carrying blood. There was a blood-stained mark on the ground that seemed like a corpse dragging towards the depths of the room. The enemy's nerves are tense. If a stranger breaks into my home at such a time, I probably will also give him a blow. Wu Di tiptoed to the depths of the room, which was the master bedroom. The door was very old, and the blood stains disappeared here. At the next moment, the enemy's hair stood on end, and an absolute sense of life and death crisis appeared. A scorching hand suddenly pressed against his back, and the other hand quickly appeared from his neck, tightly gripping his neck. Wu, what's the matter with the inner fear of the martial enemy? How could Shaoyang appear behind him? Is this the trap he set? No, why was I discovered? Don't move, I know you're a ghost. If you move again, I'll die with you. Upon hearing Shaoyang's cold and emotionless voice, Wu Di's heart was shaken. It seemed that he had been misunderstood, and because of his arrival, Shaoyang was supposed to repent and endure in the bedroom, but he had set a trap in advance to squat on himself. From now on, I'll ask and you'll say. Don't get excited, I'm not a ghost. I'll tell you everything I know, said Wu Di quickly. A lot of nonsense, can't I really see what's happening outside? Shaoyang gritted his teeth and said with a tone of hatred. Okay, if you ask, I'll answer everything I know. Don't get excited. Wu Di can actually achieve counter-kill in an instant, because his right-hand speed is very fast and can instantly kill Shaoyang, but he dare not do so. What are the consequences of killing the protagonist of a world? He really dares not try, but if Shaoyang insists on killing him, he can only send him to die. Just as Wu Di thought Shaoyang was going to ask something, a warm liquid dripping from his shoulder made his eyes freeze. I don't care what's going on outside. I just want to know where my sister went. How can we bring her back to life? Shaoyang's tone carried a hint of despair. Perhaps when he asked this question, he already had an answer in his heart. A red mist has completely changed this city. It's now a city full of evil, and your sister cannot be possessed by death. Shaoyang fell silent. Wu Di continued, I believe you can sense that I am not the kind of person outside. My situation is similar to yours, and I have gained the ability in a confused way and fled here again. I hope that as the only remaining humans in this city, we can work together, help each other, and survive together. After a long standoff, Shaoyang finally let go of his hand and collapsed onto the ground, starting to sob. Wu Di finally saw clearly that Shaoyang's appearance, with long hair almost covering his eyes, and a thin and weak figure, seemed eerie and did not change his physique. He was still quite handsome. Wu Di was watching him from the side, and this kind of thing still needs to be adapted slowly. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside the building, accompanied by intense fighting sounds. Wu Di slapped his head. It seemed like it was not time to adapt. It should be that very powerful ghost that has arrived, starting to clean up the eerie things in the southeast community. If it weren't for bothering me recklessly, perhaps Shaoyang happened to collide with the ghost outside. Where are you going? Wu Di quickly saw Shaoyang standing up and preparing to leave. Shaoyang said coldly, I won't believe you because when you enter my room, you don't seem like a passerby. As for me, there's no need to tell you what I'm going to do. Wu Di was surprised. Is this the protagonist? A pervert with strong adaptability, of course. Wu Di knows what Shaoyang is going to do, of course, to find his brother. He has read about his brother and his deceased sister more than once in his sleep. But the enemy cannot let him go. He has no chance of winning against the ghost below. You can't leave. In the next moment, Shaoyang's eyes were like a venomous snake, staring at him with malice. Wu Di's right hand instinctively stretched out and turned into a big sword in front of his head, staring fixedly at Shaoyang. Chapter 5. Suit Men. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6. Live Together. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Huo Nandong. You are listening at novel full.audio. The two of them bypassed many powerful mysteries midway, or in other words, those ghosts just glanced at them and ignored them, and soon they arrived at the central area. Watching the once bustling commercial street become dilapidated, with traces of battle everywhere and blood covering the ground, the martial enemy felt a sense of the cruelty of the chaotic times. But now is not the time to lament. They must quickly find the eerie creature with wings on its back. Wu Di and Shaoyang exchanged a glance. Shaoyang said, in Xingtai's memory, the ghost with wings on its back appeared in this area. Before the enemy could answer, a strong sound of fighting could be heard in the distance. Go and take a look. After Shaoyang finished speaking, he immediately set off and rushed forward. The two of them arrived at People's Street, which is usually the street with the most entertainment facilities. I saw 5 men with cold and stern faces, each about 10 meters apart, forming a tight encirclement. Among them, a man with wings on his back, murderous eyes, and clear facial contours stood in place. Huo Nandong, you can't run away, one of the men shouted at the person standing in the middle. Huo Nandong waved his wings behind him, and the strong airflow blew up the dust on the ground. I remember you, the 6 ghosts of the ghost country on the tree. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the 5 ghosts now. One of them has already been killed by me. Huo Nandong sneered. The 5 men suddenly had veins bulging on their foreheads, and they cursed loudly. Don't be complacent, this time is different from the past. I believe you have also been limited by this body's strength, right? We will kill you now. At the next moment, the figures of the 5 disappeared together. The martial enemy hidden in the dark exclaimed in his heart, how could every strange creature he saw have a quite powerful physique? And they seemed to dislike using their own abilities. Or rather, don't think about it, many ghosts have mediocre abilities and have little effect on their compatriots. They have a desperate effect on humans, and some ghosts even have no abilities. Therefore, they will also learn spells and practice physical skills. You just treat them as a race. However, this race is a mortal enemy of us humans, and most of them also possess emotions. Shaoyang glanced at Wu Di on the side and explained. The enemy suddenly realized. The next moment, when they saw it clearly, the 5 of them had already arrived at Huo Nandong's face in unison. Behind them were all sharp blood-red sickles, and this aura made the 2 in the dark tremble with fear. Can this kind of attack really be resisted? In the frightened eyes of the 2, Huo Nandong was directly dismembered by 5 bloody sickles. Countless small pieces of meat and blood clots flew all over the sky, and even blood mist floated in the sky. The enemy stared closely at the battlefield, feeling that following the protagonist seemed somewhat unreliable. Why not take this opportunity to see if he could escape from this city? Shaoyang, why do we stay here? Why don't we go out? Wu Di couldn't help but say. Shaoyang said coldly, you can give it a try. I won't leave, I need to find my brother. Wu Di looked at Shaoyang, who had some friendship with him but was directly ignored by his brother, and let out a sigh in his heart. However, he still did not choose to leave because, aside from whether there were any strange handles at the city exit now, he dared not leave easily just because of a little bit. Wu Di gently lifted his head upwards. I don't know when the night was still pitch black, but the moon in the sky had already disappeared. I don't know what this mutation represents, but the enemy should choose not to act rashly. But the ghost in your plan is dead. Shaoyang remained silent. In the scene, the 5 ghosts were obviously stunned when they saw this scene. How could they not have imagined that such a powerful genius who had almost killed their elder brother in a brutal manner would now be easily shattered into pieces? Is that enough? A silent voice reached the ears of the 5 ghosts, causing them to burst into a cold sweat in an instant. When? I don't know when the man with wings on his back reappeared behind the 5 ghosts. Bang! A super powerful whip hit one of the ghosts, but the imagined scene of being kicked away did not occur. Huo Nandong kicked his entire foot straight through his chest. When the leg was retracted, the ghost had already died. Immediately, a unilateral massacre began. In less than 10 seconds, the 5 ghosts that brought immense pressure to the 2 were completely slaughtered. Huo Nandong, who had wings on his back, suddenly turned his gaze towards the 2 of them, which aroused the spirits of the 2 hidden in the dark. Do you need me to invite you out? The cold and indifferent tone made Wu Di and his companions unable to hold on anymore. The 2 of them slowly walked out of the darkness. He, are you 2 children? Huo Nandong's face remained unchanged and he turned around to leave. Shaoyang quickly called Huo Nandong. Lord Huo. Wait a moment. Huo Nandong stopped his steps, but did not turn around. Shaoyang's face lit up with joy, which proved that Huo Nandong was willing to stay and listen to them. If that's the case, then there's a chance. We are both orphans, and we have had the privilege of hearing about Mr. Huo's reputation during our journey. Now, we have suddenly awakened to a strange world, and we want to join our hometown and be protected by it. Huo Nandong smiled disdainfully and said, join your hometown. Perhaps you don't know very well. The disciples in your hometown are all geniuses, but they don't consider genius as their standard. As for this unfamiliar world, no matter where you are, strength is paramount. After speaking, Huo Nandong disappeared in place, leaving only one sentence lingering in their ears. If you want to join your hometown, please showcase your charm. I have said this sentence to many years of genius. Wu Di stood in place, slightly stunned. Isn't the script like this? Shouldn't it be a powerful senior who was persuaded by the protagonist's mouth to successfully get started? What should we do now? Wu Di was stunned for a moment, then placed his arm on Shaoyang's left shoulder and said, Shaoyang, accompany me to the city exit. If you can go out, I will go out first. If you can't, we can do other methods. Shaoyang's face was also very ugly, and he immediately nodded. He had prepared a lot of excuses, but he didn't have a chance to speak out. As for accompanying Wu Di to the exit to take a look, Shaoyang felt it was necessary. His intuition told him that his brother was indeed not dead, but it was not necessarily in this city. Although his brother clearly stated in his message that he would arrive home tonight and soon enter the city. Wu Di and Shaoyang quickly rushed towards the city exit, while on the way, Wu Di and Shaoyang had already noticed that there were many strange groups of people starting to divide their territory. If the speed was not as fast, something might happen. Wu Di actually has no hope of going out, because he has noticed that the eerie nature of this city has not decreased in number. If he could go out, he would have already gone out. When he read the plot of this novel in his past life, He also realized that there seemed to be a barrier preventing the eerie people from going out. Otherwise, the living humans outside would be very delicious food. However, it's definitely worth trying. Chapter 8. Plan. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 9. Lin Jiajia. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 10. Crouching Guard. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.